Hi, guys. Welcome to the portfolio review series. It's our second portfolio review, and we have Summer. She is the entry level product designer, and she is here to get some feedback on her portfolio. So, just like last time, I will focus on pure personal brand and visual craft of the portfolio that we'll be reviewing, and then Silu will focus with the items in the middle, and then I'll kind of wrap up with the storytelling and growth. And before we dive into these sections here, I love to do maybe like a couple minutes of my first impression. So, as a hiring manager, let's imagine I'm looking for someone entry level. Summer's portfolio is here on my table, and I assess it quickly, right? And I don't have much time, so I need to quickly make that first impression. So I land on her portfolio, kind of like quickly scroll down. First thing that comes to mind is like things are moving, which I like it, as designer, especially like motion designers, designing features. I think it's kind of cool to see our work straight. But I also am gonna know that it feels a little bit too much, like having animation on each project. It feels a little bit much like scrolling down. So ideally, it's maybe like I would just do like the middle project. What do you think, Silu?
Um, yeah, like I feel like whichever summer is the strongest portfolio, that's the one needs animation. Start with the
Mhm.
video, I feel.
Yeah, but I also kind of like feel like that project it should not be above the fold because it's too much. Like when I'm looking above the fold, I want to look at that pitch line, right?
Yes.
Um, so maybe like not the first one. That's why I'm like, yeah, maybe it's like somewhere somewhere below. But the
Oh,
focal
yeah.
point here, I think, let's read it. So Summer Huang is a product designer with 2+ years of experience, master's degree. I love the fact that she's listing master's degree. That's kind of cool. And then she specializes in AI powered products and integrating AI tools. Which is cool. So the key words here is that yeah, she has the education, master's degree. She's AI specialty, and I think I'm also drawn to that word research, and that's the uniting thread between her projects. But I think here it feels like that part is almost feels like it's a description of the project. So something to keep in mind. I would definitely redesign this block to um, to be more clear that this is her tagline, having an image of her, maybe some sort of greeting, hi, I'm Summer, right? And the next line you kind of like do that pitch line. Okay, so let's quickly move on. I love the fact that she has this fun page and about page, and it's all about her personality. It's something very relatable. So in fun, she lists her photography. Um, love it. And about me page, she kind of lists her other hobbies and really briefly about you. I also note on the first run, she has links to LinkedIn, a quick way to contact her, even her Instagram, her location. This is all very helpful. So overall, like my first impression, this is a very strong entry level designer. Um, and then diving into the branding, and I feel like I've already touched on some points, but I think what's really working is the your pitch line. The fact that you have the speech line is amazing, Summer. um, uh, I think it's very strong. You can say it, a little bit more concisely, maybe, but I'm loving what I'm saying. I love the motive that comes through your all of your project. You have 3 projects, and all of them are about social change, designing for social change. You have sustainability. You have about safety. I love this project, and motivational app. To me, it talks about your values, which is great. I love the simplicity and your personality shining through these 2 pages. In terms of your brand narrative, this is very helpful, especially in the era of AI. And I really appreciate how you did the social integration. I think the only thing I'm missing here is your resume. Um, you got the work about, yeah, I'm definitely missing your resume here. So on the improvements part, I think one of things that really stood out is that Summer says that she has 2 years of experience, 2+ years. But if you actually go and click on the projects, it's really short projects. So to me, as a hiring manager, the first question is like, is it like where was that gap from? And hey, I think it's totally fine, to have gaps, and maybe like that gap, maybe she started studying, right? Maybe that was her master's degree. So I think just like making it more clear, maybe in the pitch line, like 2 years, including my master's degree, or like somewhere here. Yeah, and I think, I think like that's kind of like the main points for branding. And then the second point to touch on is the visual craft. And like I said, I think it's overall very strong project. I think here, like if we really want to be perfectionistic, I would say, really take some time to proofread the entire website, make sure there are no missed typos, kind of like from time to time, seeing some stuff. But for the most part, it's really beautiful. Mm, the fun page is your good asset, you know definitely do not undersell it. I think that speaks to your style, right? And your sense of style, how your eye is trained. I love the filters, I love how you caption people. So this is really a beautiful illustration of that visual craft. So I think, yeah, my top advice is just make sure you kind of really polish that 10%, to make it, from 90% of visual craft to 100. And with this in mind, I'll pass it to you, Silu, to discuss actual projects.
Thank you, Monica. I'm looking in from the from the framework of design process thinking, identity, how you actually think critically, how you solve problems when no one is actually handing you the answer. And when I go into Summer case study, her case study is very well curated. I absolutely love it. It was very easy to read, and I understood everything. Um, just a couple of pointers. So, like, what's really good is I really like her putting these videos on her pages of the prototype everywhere, and it's really good. Like we can see, like even if you don't read it, you can visually see it and understand it. That is amazing. The only thing I would say, like in terms of accessibility, maybe giving some control to the viewer to either play or pause the video would be helpful. Because if when we
Yeah, I
design
agree.
for yeah, when we design for accessibility, we design for everyone. Um, Amazing work. I think like she's really good. She really, I can see that she understands design processes, what design thinking is very well. And she has good collaboration as well. We can see from her different projects. One thing I would say in terms of like the design process, even like framing here in her case study, is that I see what she's done, and that's amazing. But I don't see why she did something. What was the reasoning behind it? What was your role? What was your thinking? What was your strategy behind it? And I understand that in this project, like when there's this entire team, you are not like leading the team. So I understand that so many of the decisions might not be in your hands. But whatever task you do, there is tiny decisions that you do take. There are critical thinking that you think when you're
Mhm.
doing that. So I would love to see that. I would love to see that connection. For example, you say we gathered research insights, but like here, what I don't understand is, for example, what was the just one question? Like, what was the main question in that research? What were you trying to find out? I think if you just
Yeah.
like include that, it will be so easy for me to make all of that connection and really get into her brain, because that's what we're trying to understand, how she problem solves when no one hands her the answer. But for example, here, how she frames a problem is really good. So in all of these case studies, that is one thing I see is to build that connection and to give a little bit deeper insight into
Mhm.
problem solving um, in creating your designs.
And speaking about how she presents the project, I think that Hyundai one is probably one of the strongest that I've recently seen. And the fact that she uses this, I guess, like a mock-up, right, of Sarah, the design persona, like the possible user, going through all these features. I think this is very unique way to present. And it's almost like that picture here might be a little bit too small. Like I want to see, like, because this is all, as designers, I think important to understand that we are designing for users.
Absolutely, Monica. I agree. And also, something else I also really liked in her case study is that the impact. So this is a really good framing. Again, she does a really good job on this, where everybody lists impact, yes, but like the way she did it, it's really the impact is very impactful, basically. So like she
Yeah.
lists like what was the need, and then like what how like it like what feature solved what user need. And this is a because we don't know your project details, but the way you kind of frame it here is
I love
it's
this. Yeah.
excellent. Yes, I love this framing. So honestly, the way she has like the organized everything and described in short sentences all of the process and including the Figma file as well, this is excellent.
And to me, kind of that speaks. This is the person who can prioritize, who can articulate complex concepts, right, and projects in a simple way. And that's
Mhm.
basically what we do here as designers. And like the steam pictures, I'm loving it.
Yes.
Okay, let's move on to the next one.
All right. So the next framework we're talking about is innovation and AI tech. So like when tools change, will you move with them or not? And in this one, I mean, there is no question that Summer is doing amazing in this. I love the fact that you know, first case study, her strongest one, and then on the moment you go to the next one, you instantly see that she's up to date with the technology, how it's changing. And when you open it again, she the storytelling aspect of hers in her case study is really good, how she walks you through like what she did, the background, the problem, kind of all the tools that she tried out, and the process, the prompt, all of that. This is honestly really good. And then she does really good work again to describe her design process through these steps. It's really good. I can see that, well, of course, we all start with the prompt. We have some designs, and then we can see on this one, she's mentioned that then she also fed AI with some of her own curated visual assets, and then made it even better. And this looks honestly amazing. I can see that in the prototype, if you can send people, well, you send people messages in LinkedIn and it shows checked. So like, yeah, I mean, in the world where like we're all connected, it's sometimes hard to you don't know if you've already reached out to the person or not. And I think this is a really good approach to problem solving and taking your own initiative and then try things out on yourself. And then, yeah, like this is top notch. One thing I would like to add on to the vibe coded work is that I mean, this looks really incredible, but but when I dive deeper into this again, as I'm trying to learn how she solves problem, I feel like there could be a couple of things here. For example, did you think about like design system for this project? That's one question. And I can see that in the rest of her case studies, we don't see much of that contribution to design system. And that's okay. Like, this is not something, it's not like you must have it. But as like the things you were not, did not have the opportunity to do in other projects, just because of how the team was established, when you do your own projects, that's where you can bring in the things, the testing, the iterations, the design system contribution or making of the design system, the things that you did not have the chance to do in other case studies. You could actually bring that into your own the ones that you do by yourself. So I would have liked to see the things that were missing in other case study completing in her own, so that I could see the range, right? So at the moment, I see that she's good, She can think, she knows the design process, she, uses the process, but like I'm missing connection on why, problem solving, and then the range of the skills as well. So maybe that is something to do here. And also, as this is your own project, you have so much freedom here to do all by yourself. And I would, I mean, there's an opportunity here to do more iterations and then show like, what was not good, what was good, like why you rejected something. And that's what we want to know, like why you rejected this or accepted that. And maybe as this is your own project, there is more of like, maybe you could also put a little bit of business perspective as well. And then maybe I don't need to do it, but even if you mention it in your next steps, like how you think, like in the next steps, maybe you would like to take this prototype, as this is for networking with your friends and like your colleagues. Maybe you can say like, I'm going to test it out with just like your friends, and that is perfectly fine. Because like when you test, then you get all of those different perspectives, which we designers always look for, because we need to understand how users behave to our designs and how we're going to iterate on top of that. So I think that would be helpful to see here.
Yeah, 100%. And I think one thing to call out is because that's one of her specialties is the research. I think as you were speaking, it occurred to me that, yeah, I 100% do expect the research in all of her projects. And she doesn't have that many, right? Only 3. So it's definitely my recommendation is to add user research and that system thinking to that particular project to make it even like more mind-blowing. If it was a real company, how their Instagram grid looks like, maybe some samples. And like you said, also building the business case. It's hard to, it's easy to miss in your personal projects, but like imagine, why is it crucial right now that this product exists? Like social networking and stuff, gonna like think more.
So in terms of talking about, if we talk about the framework of strategic and system thinking, I feel like on this, maybe Summer has a little bit of work to do. I do see, I mean, I completely understand that she has a very good knowledge of design thinking, design process. And we can see a little bit of it on the Green Eye project, where she has thought about in terms of like system thinking around, creating this logo typography and how it's used. So that is great, and I love that. But I think like something to add on to these case studies on top of like what I've already said before is talk a little bit about accessibility. Again, as I always say, if we design for accessibility, we design for everyone. And that is very important. And I would like to see, it's not like I would like to see, but again, it's again ties back to the connection on like, there is the system, but like how does it come to use? Just like one example would be helpful. So I think like in terms of like in the framework of strategic and system thinking, maybe there is something to add here. And if you were not able to do in the other projects, again, you can take this and then put it into your own project that she already has of that vibe coded networking app. And the last one around project selection and curation. I think in this section, she has 3 projects that she has showcased very well. So I think it's good. There's a good diversity of projects as well. And she has a personal passion project as well, and she's putting the best work first. The only 2 things to kind of mention here is like, in terms of in the realm of like putting your best work first and showing your best skills in your case studies is you mentioned you talk about research in your tagline, in your headline. So it'd be nice to see like, the research aspect into your case studies as well. Again, now you can apply that to your personal one, or if you already had that, I know you already have that in your case studies as well. So maybe dive a little bit deeper there and give us the reasoning, the rationale, the problem solving part of it. And another thing I would only say in terms of the curation on the landing page is yeah, choose which one you want to animate, or give the viewer power to
Mm-hmm.
pause and play. That is the only thing I would say.
Yeah, agreed. Awesome. Okay, so let's dive into number 7, storytelling. Um, and I think, like I mentioned before, overall, the narrative is very clear, and Summer makes it clear. One of the strongest points of her storytelling is simplicity. Like we said, it's like, yeah, feels like a person who can prioritize really well and tell the story in a simple way. I really love the storyboard, this whole safety navigation system through the prism of perception of this imaginary, I would guess, Sarah, the user, and kind of like guiding through each feature. To me, it's really good example of storytelling. One thing that stood out to both of us, me and Silu, is how she introduces herself here. Here she talks from a third point perspective, and then about she says, "Hi, I'm Summer," and I think to me, it's really kind of stands out. I would revise it, make it consistent, and have like we discussed before, proper greeting here, even if that's the same line as we have on the about page. I really appreciate that all the case studies have the same format. To the consumer of this product now, it's kind of easier to grasp. I know what to expect, so this is great. And I think, yeah, like we discussed some improvements around aligning on the story, but also, I think taking the fact that you are a singer, you're a performer, I think, and you are already using the videos, and maybe the video content, this animation, the photography is something that you want the hiring manager to remember about you. So I think even to make it stronger, what if you record like a 2-minute video of yourself speaking, right, about your projects, or choosing a project, for example, the Hyundai safety navigation, and kind of like walking us through this project as if you were to present it to the stakeholders, and maybe like through the deck, have a deck prepared, maybe through that particular case study. But I think it would be nice to have your personality shine through even more. Last but not least is the growth part, and this is about having, as a hiring manager, it's important to know where's the candidate, how they envision themselves in 5 years from now. And I really appreciate Summer's insights. Maybe not to this project, but yeah, it was another project where she's like the future of AI, in design. I love that kind of thinking. To me, it's a sign that this candidate at least is thinking. But I think, like, yeah, do I have a clear vision of what Summer will be in 5 years? Probably not as clear, and I think maybe like on about us page, um maybe like mentioning, it's like, where would you like to take your career, like how do you envision yourself in 5 years from now? Is it more going to be like leadership roles, so that I know, right, your potential and can coach you through? Is it more refining your craft and doing more of animations, more like a technical stuff, more coding? So that's important to see, and I feel like now I don't have that clear vision. But in general, it is appearing as a portfolio of someone who is oriented towards growth and career development. So Silu, what are some top points and recommendations for Summer?
Yes, Monica. Well, overall, Summer's portfolio is actually really good. To make it even better, my top three are: first one, accessibility, very important. Again, the same thing, give the user control to play or pause the video, or if you're going to autoplay something, maybe just do the one that you want to focus on. And that applies for the landing page and in the case studies as well, because I can see, like, in my whole screen, the top part, the bottom part is continuously moving, and it's kind of difficult to read what screen is going on. So that's my one. Number two is the case studies are very well structured, but I would like to see the problem solving. What are the design rationale? even if you worked in group projects, there must be tiny decisions that you took. What are those decisions? What's your rationale? What's your reasoning behind it? I would like to see, don't need too much, but maybe one on like different explorations. What worked on, what didn't work on the last one? That's why you changed, to this one, the iterations. And that would help me see how you solve problems. That's my number 2. And my number 3 is in your personal project, include the things that you were not able to do in your other case studies, like, again, the design iterations, and expand like the testing, just like talk a little bit, give me the insight, give me like, I know what you did, 1, 2, 3, like steps, but like why you did it is something I'm not being able to figure out. So those are my 3.
Love it, love it. Yeah, and I think at least one of them is similar to mine. Yeah, mine top 3. I think number 1, the most important, is expanding the projects to include a design system, and that talks to the scalability of designs, especially with the vibe coded projects. Nowadays, you can vibe code whatever you want, but then where is that design language, right? And I feel like, yeah, this definitely needs to be included. And also include, because your background somewhere is in research, make sure that part of the competitor research, of the business research, what is the business rationale? If that personal project you were to publish and make money, who is the consumer? What is the market? Like, I want to know more, even if it's like a dummy imaginary project, right? Because I think that your critical thinking, your business thinking should shine. Number 2 is figure out that question of the timeline, right? The 2+ years of experience, it's not visible in the portfolio. It is confusing. Kind of like finish that story. And then 3 is more refine that presentation of how you present yourself through that pitch line. Make sure if you're talking about first point, first person perspective, then keep that narrative. And to make it even more stronger, like a short 2-minute video showing your personality or you going through your most favorite project, I think would kind of close that loop of one of your strongest point of using animations, using videos. And really, like, that become that you take your strongest point, you make it even stronger. Good luck, Summer. This is a very good portfolio, like we've mentioned probably 100 times. Good luck with your job search. And for the rest of you, please ping us, submit the form, and we're excited to review your product portfolios as well.